I cannot tell you how happy I am to say this, but welcome to the 2025 Pilot Point Coaches Show, brought to you by Chance Kirby, the broker at IRIC Real Estate. And I am so glad to be back. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here, and it is the Pilot Point Football Show for 2025. If you don't know, Coach Chad Worrell and I have been doing shows, or we had done shows for many, many years when he was at Brock and then when he was at El Campo, but we had to stop, or we didn't have to, but we don't cover above 4A. So once he moved out of the 4A level from El Campo, we didn't do a show. We started one last year, couldn't find a sponsor. So, we didn't know what we were going to do. Well, this year we got us a sponsor, and that's because Chance Kirby really has stepped up for us. And so here goes the first ad read of 2025. Are you considering buying in the Lake Ray Roberts area? If so, please give Chance Kirby, the broker at IRIC Real Estate, a call. When it comes to your largest financial decision, why not call the guy that's been helping buyers and sellers in the Ray Roberts area for over 25 years? That's Chance Kirby at 940-300-6900. Again, 940-300-6900. You can call or you can text him any time of the day and tell him that the Coaches Show sent you. All right. Here's what we do if this is the first time you've ever checked in on a Coaches Show here on our network. As each and every week, Chad Worrell and I will talk about the Pilot Point Bearcats. It'll be a basic review preview where we'll talk the week that was and the week that is, but we'll also stretch it back out and we'll talk about the district, especially when district play comes. We'll talk about other teams in the district, kind of pull further back and talk about the regions. And then Coach and I, we like to talk other things. Sometimes we'll talk some 80s movies. Sometimes we'll talk being on the beach, his coaching philosophies, all those kind of fun things. So it's going to be a real fun year. So please just take a seat and we'll be right back for the Pilot Point Bearcat Football Show right here on L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Pilot Point Bearcat Football Show, now joined by the head coach of the Bearcats, Coach Chad Worrell. And Coach, first off, the season is nigh upon us. How are you feeling about your team going into 2025?
Hey Terry, first it's good to be back with you.
Thank
So
you.
it's been a minute or two, but no, I'm excited about this group of kids. Our whole coaching staff is you know we're a lot further ahead than we were last year at this time, going into week one, and have a lot less question marks. And those kids had a great off season. They had a great track season and summer, and we felt like we have gotten better through the first two scrimmages. So we're excited to see them on the field in real conditions on Friday.
Now, of course, last year we did talk early in the season, and everybody knew the story of Pilot Point and where they had fallen to before they brought you in. And you and I talked early last year, and you mainly just said, "Hey, I just need to see growth this year." Do you feel like y'all were a little ahead of schedule by the end of the season, getting into the playoffs, beating Mejia in that first round?
Well, I think yeah, if you'd asked me after the fourth week when we were 0-4, and we'd lost a couple of games we felt like we could have or should have won. Yeah, to end up, beating some quality teams there in the district towards the end, and then with the win there in by district. Yeah, I mean, it felt like we were playing pretty good football at the end of the season. But more than anything, it just took a while to get people in the right positions and figure out what we could and couldn't do. And sometimes that doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, I was really pleased with where we were at the end of the season compared to where we were at the beginning.
Well, getting that playoff spot, getting that playoff win, you know, you- people, we talk a lot about tradition and laying that foundation. But in my opinion, that was a big first step because you go into this year's offseason, your guys now feel they can win the big game when they need to.
Yeah, confidence, I mean, that's such a big deal, and I mean, it was lacking in the beginning of the season last year, and, we were struggling with closing games out and, not making mistakes and things like that, but our kids just gained confidence throughout that, and then we had a good, season in track, and they gained more confidence, out there in the spring, and so, I know that they believe that we can play with anyone now, and, we definitely still have improvement to go. We're still shuffling kids around a little bit, not near as much as we were last year, but and the confidence they gained from getting into the playoffs, and they had hurt everyone for for a year. Talk about the 0-10 season from 2 years ago, and talk about how long it's been since they'd won a home game, how long it's been since they won a district game, and so on and so forth. And so whenever you get that monkey off your back, and get to get to start having success, and that just breeds more and more confidence.
You have now twice mentioned track and the off season, and you're an old school coach. In my old school days of playing football and track were connected at the hip. How important is a good track program for a good football program?
For us, we put a lot into it just because we think that, when kids get out on track, they really don't, there's no referees to blame. There's no umpires to blame. I mean, it's just them and watch of getting better and competing. And, we look at it as, it doesn't matter if we're the fastest all the time, but we're competing against ourselves. And there's really no place to hide on a track. And I think that goes hand in hand with being successful in football. And I feel like, that we had a really good track season, and that's kind of springboarded us to being a little bit ahead of schedule, because the kids are a lot more competitive, and they're not scared to compete, and they're not scared to fail. And I think that a lot of that builds that, you build a lot of that in the spring during track season. I know a lot of people don't believe that. And I know there's been successful programs that don't believe that you have to necessarily build that through your track program, but we believe that here.
All right, well, let's start talking this season. Your first opponent, the Bonham Purple Warriors, on the road this year, and you talked about earlier about games you thought y'all should have went early in the season. You definitely thought y'all should have beat Bonham last year when y'all lost 7-6.
Yeah, we had dominated the first half. I think they had one first down at halftime, and we had almost 200 yards of offense, and we were only able to get that one touchdown on the board. We got inside the 10 several other times and had some miscues, whether it was penalties or turnover, or just not executing a play or something. But we felt like, it probably could have been 21 or 28-0 there at half, and that would have been a different ball game. Of course, we didn't make that happen. We let them hang around, and then we kind of got tired. They kind of wore us down in the second half, and ended up coming back and beating us. And that was one that we were sure hated to lose. But just like I told our kids yesterday in scouting report, I mean, we're a different ball club than we were then, and we've learned from a lot of those starts, and we expect our kids to go out Friday night and play really well.
Well, it's funny you say that because on Dave Campbell's on their schedule, they like to give a little bit of a point spread. And you say you're different this year. Last year at home, y'all were 26-point underdogs to Bonham. This year on the road, you're 26-point favorite. So that's the difference in a year of a program.
Well, and I hope they're right. Like I said, it's just we're at a different point, and it's been so much fun this fall camp that we've been through so far. Leading up this and the two scrimmages, to see our kids, the growth and the confidence, and a little bit of a swagger, getting a swagger back, and things. It's been fun to watch, and a whole lot goes into the coaches out to our coaching staff for doing it, and getting them where they need to be, and for the community rallying around them, and having confidence and being excited to start this season. So.
All right. So for this season to be success, what's the one thing y'all need to do better than that you're worried about?
Just cutting down on the mental mistakes in the crucial times. We it took us a while to get over that, and the kids were playing hard the entire time, but we just got to continue to execute, and try to play mistake free football. Last year, we had just the biggest mental errors that we could have at the wrong time, whether it was a special teams miscue, or a fumbled snap, or a penalty from inside the 10-yard line, just things like that. So those are things that I feel like we're a lot further along right now, and I think if our kids are going to play hard. This group of kids is a great group. This group of seniors is a great group. They stuck with it through the tough times. Uh, to have that success that we had last year, in the second half of the season, and then they did nothing but everything we've asked them to this summer and this spring. So, it's a good group of seniors, good group of returning lettermen that we've got, and I feel confident that we're going to be able to execute in those crucial times.
Hey, coach, are you ready to elevate your locker room experience? Well, at H&H Locker Solutions, we pride ourselves on delivering the highest quality lockers at the lowest cost in the Southeast. As a coach owned business based in Alabama, we understand the needs of the coaches and the players alike. Our mission is to improve your locker room and streamline your process, and we're coming to Texas. Did you know we offer a free locker program? That's right. We ship all across the USA, ensuring you get the best solutions tailored just for you and your program. Want to learn more? Drop a comment or give Coach Harris, aka Ty, a call at 256-458-4427, and let's take your locker room to the next level. As always, I am so happy to have Coach Chad Royal, and I appreciate the time he gives this show as we are back here on the Pilot Point Bearcat Show. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments for the show, for me, all you have to do is email the show, txbroadcaster75 at gmail.com. It's going to be an interesting first week. Last year, Violet Point was heavily underdogs to Bonham, went into Bonham and lost 7-6, and you can make the case that they outplayed Bonham. This year, Pilot Point goes in as favorites, and as I said on the part of the show, they went in last year. I think they were exactly 26-point underdogs going in, and then this year they're 26-point favorites. What a year makes. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to say that there's a full target on Pilot Point's back this year, but I do think when talking to coaches around the district and the region, there is a belief that Pilot Point is definitely on the uptick, on the right steps to be coming back to where they were in 2020, 2019, in that era. Where they were one of the best teams not only in the region but in the state, and so this is going to be a fun, wild 2020 ride. I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and we're here for it. And again, we want to thank Chance Kirby. So give him a call if you have any real estate needs in the Lake Ray Roberts area, 940-300-6900. You can call or text him. And we do, again, appreciate him for making this show 100% a possibility. And we're going to have a fun time. So that's going to do it. So till next week, I'm Terry Bennett, and this has been the Pilot Point Football Show.